Hey guys, it's Michelle here, the founder of ihelpmoms.com. And this back to school, we are talking with our iHelpMoms expert coaches. Today I have Coach Jamie on. If you know her, you love her. If you worked with her, you rave about her. She is our sleep expert guru for all things for kids ages 0 to 5. And today we are talking about getting ready for back to school. So thanks for being on with us, Jamie.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. We all need to make sure we're happy and rested for school.
Yes, it's so important. So I'm going to kick off with my first question. How many weeks before school starts should parents begin getting the clocks ready, getting the kids ready, getting some structure put back in place so it's not so jarring when those alarm clocks and buses start pulling up?
Yes, definitely as early as you can. But if you're on a time crunch or you want something where you want to already have it in your planner, like we're going to start today, I would say at least 4 weeks in advance. If there's a lot to work on, if
Okay.
there's just something as simple as tweaking bedtime, you can do that 2 weeks before school starts.
And when you're suggesting that, do we like set the clock so that like say I know in our house we've got to be up at 6 to catch the bus by 7. Am I starting to push those clocks to like let's wake up at 6:45, let's wake up at 6:30? Like is it something like that or do you have a better suggestion for those my kids are a little bit older, so about 2 weeks before is when I'm going
Right.
to start.
It depends. If they have been going to bed later, like a lot of kids do in the summertime, then you want to start at night. Usually, any changes you're going to make, you want to start it at night so that it just trickles down and follows through for the rest of the day. So, usually, if it's a late bedtime, we're going to push up bedtime by like 15 minutes a little bit earlier every night, or even 2 nights, depending on how flexible or sensitive your child is. And if they are starting to wake up later in the day because they're going to bed later, then you can start, earlier bedtime and then waking them up 15 minutes earlier so they're still getting about the same amount of time of being awake in a 24-hour span, but now we're just slowly shifting everything so that they're not waking up at 6:30 or 7 o'clock and being like, what do you mean I have school in like 40 minutes? Like I'm not ready. They're not ready.
I love that. So, one of the things that I know a lot of parents deal with is like, yes, they want to push the bedtime to be earlier, but it's not always that simple. So, talk to me a little bit about, shutting off TV, shutting off screen time, the effect it has on the brain,
Yeah.
and some of those really important elements that we need to do, especially for that developing brain of toddlers. I'd love
Right.
for you to talk a little bit about the science of that.
Yeah, so I mean, blue light is a huge thing. It's a big deal. We know that it stops the production of melatonin, which really only peaks at night. So if we are not so much the TV in the living room, although depending on your toddlers, especially, they can be extra sensitive. Some kids do great with TV and then going to bed, some don't. But usually when we're really working on getting that sleep pressure starting to get built, you want to start dimming the lights off, start dimming the lights around 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. You want to keep things more on the relaxing side. So, like, no hardcore party dancing before you go to bed, or, you don't want them behind a device with that blue light going on them that kind of stops that production. You want to have, I personally like when the sound machine's already going, whether it's white or white or brown noise. You can just kind of have that going by the time that they enter the room, so it's already setting the tone. The room is dark. If they need a night light, because fear of the dark is very real for toddlers and older kids, a red bulb versus your standard, right? We're trying to just keep everything where the brain is being sent the message of, oh, okay, it's dark. Now my brain is receiving it. Okay, it's time to wind down. And also, which I'm huge on this, magnesium, magnesium, magnesium. We're all deficient in it, adults, teenagers, everybody, but especially our younger kids. They tend to be pickier eaters, so they're not getting it out of some of the foods that they should be getting. So giving them, magnesium, whether it's lotion, a gummy, or liquid, depending on their age, then, you know, it's a really important supplement to just get the body to calm itself down where it's not melatonin. It's just calm itself down. It's great for mood support. So if you have a toddler that's fighting bedtime, that kind of helps calm them down a little bit. And then their brain can start to shut off to where they can rest. So you want to do that 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime as well.
Yeah, those are all great tips. I love that. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that parents unknowingly make during that first month of school, and how can they avoid them?
Mm, Food, right? There's a lot of foods, even if they're, regardless if your child is ADHD or not. I mean, we know that sugar in like the younger kids, it takes longer to get out of their system. For some kids, they're not digesting it properly. Their body's not functioning the way that it should because of the sugar. And not that you need to take away everything, because I feel like kids should still be kids, right? So if they want some ice cream, cool, have your ice cream. But part of it is timing everything and making it specific to your child. My son can handle sugar before, something sugary before bed. My daughter can't. It keeps her wired. So knowing the difference on, what your child can and can't do is important. As well as, excuse me, you want to be able to watch that clock. Some kids are very sensitive to time, and especially when we're starting school and their brain is going, 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 where it kind of took a break in the summer and it was more fun time. That alone will exhaust a child. They will come back from school being extremely tired. So if you're still wanting to keep bedtime, depending on their age, like let's say 8 or 8:30 that first week, it might affect them and you might want to push it forward. And as they get adjusted to that school schedule and whatever after school activities, whatever that looks like, then you can go back to the regular bedtime. But you want to just watch them and say, okay, you know what? They're having meltdowns or a tantrum, or they're being a little bit more sensitive, where they're kind of not, your child, right? So when you start to see that the personality is a little bit off, a lot of the times it's like, even though my body might not be tired, my brain is tired and I need to shut this off. And that is go to sleep.
All right, so tell me what a truly sleep friendly routine looks like. I think that, those hours between dinner and for us it's homework and bedtime, it's super busy, and sometimes we throw dance in there or another activity in there and everyone is exhausted. So tell me the importance of a bedtime routine in creating healthy habits, not just for our kids, but also for us psychologically, so that we can kind of get through the day without feeling totally drained and have more of a structure to know what's ahead of us and why it's mutually beneficial for both the parent and the child.
Yeah, a routine is everything. It helps set the tone and predictability. And I think children like when things are predictable. I think there's security in knowing this is what's next. And it starts to send that signal of, okay, this is what starts to happen when we're working on bedtime. Okay, I know what's ahead of me. It's not, from 1 second to the next. And sometimes for kids, that's like, what do you mean I'm going to bed? I was just doing this and now all of a sudden I'm in my room. Like, what are you talking about? So a routine allows for the transition where it's not so fast, especially with like younger kids. When they do start school, there might be some separation anxiety because they might have never been to school before then, or they've just spent a couple of months at home and now they're taken out of that into a whole different environment. So that routine is very important for bonding time, sends that signal to the brain that bedtime is coming. It's also something that doesn't have to be long. The longer your routine is, the more chances your child has of prolonging and protesting, and we don't want that. We're tired. So a routine can be something as simple as 10, 15 minutes, and it starts in the room. So it could be, okay, let's dim the lights or turn off the light, but leave the hall light on, and let's just stretch for a little bit. Okay, let's just talk about our day. How was your day? Or what was your favorite part about today? A little bit of conversation, anything that doesn't require anything really loud, because right, like your adrenaline can start to shoot up a little bit. So it takes a while for those hormones to come down and they're not ready for bed. And you're like, we've been doing this for 10 minutes. I'm ready for bed. I want you to be ready for bed too. But it doesn't work like that, right? We know that with kids, all it takes is like a little something and they're like off, like, oh, I can take this and I can, run with it. And then we have to kind of reel them back in. So setting the expectation of this is our routine. It can be as simple as we're just going to read a book and then we're going to go to bed. It could be light conversation. You can even start to set the tone with some instrumental music. I'm a really big fan of, classical music. So just kind of, no words, just instrumental, just that the frequencies really help to shut the brain off as well. So simple, and keep the same routine every day. Easy. So any parent can take over, family can take over, your kid will start to know it. So I've messed up on the routines and they're like, wait a minute, mommy, you forgot to do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're right. So then they can start to take over and they feel like they have a sense of control in it, which they like.
Yeah, it's good too. I feel like the more kids we had, the more exhausted I became, and then I like put a lot of pressure on myself in the cycle of like, man, I spent so much time when I just had one kid. By the time the third kid came, I'm like, I'm so tired. And then our middle one was like really getting left out because she's super chill, super easy, like, and so she kind of just like did everything on her own, and like I was not spending a lot of time with her because I still had the little baby. And
Yeah.
so I talked to a mom of 7, and she told me a really golden piece of advice that I think I'll share. and it's counterintuitive because I always like berated myself like I have to read with every kid at night. That's part of our bedtime routine. And she said, you know, actually, I just pushed up reading for the enjoyment and the sake of reading with my child during the daytime, like after
Yeah.
school, and like they got a snack, and then we played for a little bit, and then like in the middle of it, we'd grab a book and just read, you know, the 5 or 10 pages, whatever it would be for your child's development. But it like alleviated a lot of stress off of me because I didn't have to do the routine that I thought was
Mm-hmm.
normal or right. And we just enjoyed different books. Like I have a body book that like shows cells and different parts of the body, and like something fun with pop-ups. So
Yeah.
that was like something that was really fun for us to do together instead of feeling
Hmm.
like it was
Yeah.
big at night. And then at night, it just simplified the routine. So it was bath. We stretched. I've got a lot of dancers in this house of girls, so that was something fun. We did yoga before bed.
Yeah.
The white sound machine was going. My children happen to like rain, but we also like white sound when they were younger.
Hmm.
If you know Sleep Like Goldilocks, I'm a huge fan of them. I love their white noise machine. And just everything they do is very gentle, so it's congruent with what we believe at I Help
Yeah.
Moms. And then we just sit and like gentle talk. I'd say, do you want a story? Do you want to make up a story with me? Do you want to talk about your day? And each
Hmm.
of my kids had a different rhythm,
Right.
different things that they wanted to talk about. And it
Hmm.
really, especially like I talked about the middle, it opened up us because she wanted to talk about how she was feeling.
Right.
Like was awesome. I know your oldest has that same thing. So I
Yes.
wanted to learn that there is no technical like right way or right
Right.
structure or right routine. It's what works for your family, and I just think
Yeah.
that's important as we add more kids. It doesn't
Yeah.
look the same as when you just have one.
Right.
You have time and
I'll
probably
have 30 minutes to offer you at bedtime when it's just one and we can do all the things. And you're like, by the time you're like kid two, kid, or more, you're just like, you guys can put yourselves to bed. You guys know the routine, right? Okay, fantastic. Get the oldest one to take over since they tend to be bosses. And that's
yeah.
the thing. Honestly, our routine in our house is not even 5 minutes long because I'm home with them. So I do have everything during the day. I would read during the day. I would do all the stuff because I'm like, well, now I'm here, right? So if you're a stay-at-home mom or you get off work early or you work from home but you have flexibility, you can go ahead and do those things during the day. And then, the bedtime, once you guys are in the room, it could be something, 5 minutes long. They just want something where it's a second to connect and it's not like, okay, here's your bed, good night, I'm leaving, right? It's just like one or two simple stuff. And for some kids, reading's not. My daughter she couldn't sit still if I was to read for her at bedtime. So we were like, well, that's not it. So like, your kid, they have different needs, and so it's, keep it simple. Life is stressful enough. Keep it simple.
This is why I love our I Help Moms coaches, which leads me to my next question that I think we get a lot is that parents in their routine, they are so tired, and maybe they haven't listened to this episode that we're doing right now about keeping it simple, and they just end up falling asleep night after night after night after night in their toddler's bed. And then as the
Yeah.
toddler gets bigger, they've created this association that mom or dad or parent or grandparent or someone has to sleep in bed with them. As our I Help Mom sleep coach, what are some ways that you coached your parents to start really creating independent sleep habits, and even more so maybe not to get in that habit? Like what would be some feedback that you've gotten?
Yeah. I think if you're in that habit, depending on your toddler's age, if it's an older toddler, communicate with them that things are going to change instead of just starting right off the bat like, oh, now we're working on something where I'm not here anymore. Let them know of the change, but make it sound like it's something very exciting. Oh my gosh, I've loved sleeping with you, but I kind of need to be in my bed so I can rest, so I can be energetic in the morning to be with you, or something like that, right? You put a positive spin on it, and then remind them maybe 2, 3 times throughout the day, morning, afternoon, right before bedtime. And expect a little bit of pushback. You can expect that it might take a while. This is a habit that they've now grown accustomed to for, sometimes it takes one time and they're like, I want this for forever, right? So they're very attached to this association. So give them time, be graceful on yourself, on them. We don't expect perfection on night one. And then when as they're, depending on the method, right? I've really been getting into something called Be Right Back. So it automatically gets the parent out of the room versus staying in the room until they fall asleep, because for some kids, it's still not enough. And by the time parents reach us, they're done. They're like, I'm tired, like I need something, right? So
Yeah.
it's a shorter process, but it keeps them understanding, okay, well, I'm leaving, but I am coming back. And you follow through and you come back to your child and you praise them. Oh my gosh, you did so good while you waited for me.
Yeah.
I forgot something, and you whatever, and then and you extend a little bit, and each time they start to realize and grow the confidence, like, oh, I'm actually okay in my own bed, like I'm doing pretty good. They're getting confident, which is part of the reason why sleep training is important for toddlers. They're just and the like the older kids, they're scared, they're nervous, they don't know what to expect, but that confidence shoots through the roof, and they're like, I can do this. So that's what I would say if you're in it. Um, to prevent yourself getting in it, that's always tricky. Most of the time, I find parents are in that position because their toddler got sick, and that's what started it because they wanted to be close, right? Um, Especially if there's like breathing and things like that, they're stuffy, which I totally understand. And to that I say, do it that the first night, and then after that, you can just stand by their crib or their bed, depending where they're at, just kind of support them, and then still continue to leave, and then continue to check on them. Because if you're in the room as they fall asleep, that's what's starting to say, okay, this is mom or dad are here until I fall asleep, and now I need that every night. Versus, oh, they're coming to check in on me every night. That's so you kind of get ahead of it that way.
Yeah. This is why I love that you are an I Help Mom sleep coach, because you truly customize the plan and the pathway forward with each family, with each partnership, with each child's temperament. And I think that's what a lot of parents miss, is that they listen to their friend at Mommy and Me, and then they
Yeah,
try that method, or they do the sleep lady shuffle, they do, whatever their friend is doing, but that's really not what is best for their specific situation. So I
right.
just love and respect everything you do, and your reviews on I Hope Moms are amazing for a reason. So that's like one of my next questions too with you as our I Hope Moms expert sleep coach for toddlers is that, you know, a lot of kids wake up extremely tired in the morning, especially get back on a sleep schedule. What are some of the dangers or harms on the developing brain of sleep deprivation? How do you, as a coach, approach it to customize a pathway forward so that kids can actually get the rest that they're needing,
Yeah.
especially if we transition back to school?
I mean, for all of us, even us as adults, sleep deprivation does a whole lot of things internally and outwardly, but especially these young bodies that are still developing, still learning, still growing, who have to sit 7, 8 hours and are not able to function.
My favorite thing I see you do is really customize a plan and a pathway for parents. And one of the most common questions we get at I Help Moms is the kids are waking up extremely exhausted when school starts. Then we're having to rush out the door. Nobody's happy. And getting home, there's major behavior problems because we've started exhausted and it hasn't gotten any better, right? Talk to me about how you approach this. And also, we know that every call is different, every parent is different. So your advice for each family will be unique, which is the beauty
Right.
of your coaching. But just overall, what would be your advice if your toddler is waking up just exhausted?
Yeah. Cold water, drink cold water before anything else. That kind of gets everything flowing. Um, when they're at school, if they're usually if you're eating school lunch, it tends to be a little bit healthier. But if you're packing your kids' lunch, make sure you're packing things like nuts, things that'll affect their high protein, their mood and their attention.
Yeah.
Uh, Give it like a little boost, right? So we're giving them, at least, we can't control everything, but we're giving their body every opportunity throughout the day to just kind of function and receive all the information that they're receiving in a school day. And then when they come back, honestly, I no homework right away. Just give them 30 minutes of do whatever you want. Like just decompress, because if we're go 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 the second they get home from school, I mean they're already tired. They woke up tired. They've remained tired because it's a long day at school, and then now they have to go work on homework or other house responsibilities or chores or something. And it's like, who? No, we don't want that after a day of work. We don't want to do anything. So give them 20, 30 minutes to decompress, grab like a snack, hang out, and then slowly start to get back into your to whatever that routine looks like for your family. But when it's time for bed, start that process early, right? You're that especially that first week, you
Yeah.
more than likely will have to push up bedtime. It's just a fact. Like they're not functioning, they're not used to the routine anymore because they've got used to the summer routine, which is more flexible, more calm. So I personally, and that's what I do with my own kids. I will put them down for bed earlier, even if they wake up a little bit earlier, which
Yeah.
doesn't happen the first week of school. Where at least it's more important that we push up bedtime so that they can catch up on some sleep versus, oh, well, let's keep the bedtime because we're like, well, we want to keep a schedule. That first week, plan on, even if it's 20 minutes, that does so much on these little bodies.
Yeah.
You'll be grateful that you that you did it. And then they'll get used to the routine and everything, and then they'll be back on track.
Yeah, I love that. So as we close out, I'd love for you to talk about the I Help Moms app and creating a plan and a pathway for free on there that's customized to the parent's parenting style, because you and I talk a
Yeah.
lot about there being a mismatch between what most sleep consultants or what most feeding experts give advice as parents, because it's biased to their own, what they've seen, what they've experienced, their own life experience, and then
Yeah.
we actually match it with the parent's philosophy. And we
Yeah.
find that the outcomes are so much better when we do our parent style match technology,
Yeah.
with the follow through and with the results. And then how amazing is it that they can just share it with you so that you can coach them and be on the same plan and be on the same pathway for a really stress free, kind, and compassionate sleep training method and figuring out what's best for their family.
I mean, pediatricians are raving about this, right? Like every time we talk to somebody, they're like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is so different than anything that's out there," because, like you said, it's matched to the parent's style. It's not just like, "Well, this is your child's age, and so this is what we're going to do," which is works for a lot of kids and families, but the majority of the time, I'm getting parents who are like, "Well, I did this and that, and it just doesn't fit what we're going through. I
Yeah.
don't know how to do anything. I need support to know I'm not doing anything." They're always worried that they're going to mess up, is what they say, right? So, number one, it's paired to your parenting style. It takes a minute to answer these questions. It has the plan is literally right there. You can get a schedule to go with it. It explains the sleep training method. My favorite feature really is how they can share it with us, right? So if I've already spoken to a mom and I send her the link to download the app, she can find me and it goes automatically to me. I get a notification that, so and so did this, and I can see everything they're logging, all the sleep, and it's updating as the parent is logging in real time. I can see it updated. I can see, the method, the plan that it generated for them. Be like, and 100% of the time, I can confidently say that's exactly what I would tell this mom, right? So I know that it works. I know the information is there. And if I haven't spoken with mom and she might have just gotten the link from, her preschool or the pediatrician or the chiropractor, they can still search for my name or any sleep consultant and say, oh, this is the one that I want, and they can pair it with potty training, which is great for preschool, right? So they can send it to Anna if they're going to send it to Anna, and then we're both like in communication, like this is what we're working on with potty. Oh, this is what we're doing with sleep. Let's come together and find the right combination to report back to mom, right? So I just love that it's very personalized and it's not just something that anybody can find online.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we so appreciate you. Your reviews on helping parents with sleep and healthy sleep habits are off the charts. Everyone loves working with you. So make sure you let them know your Instagram handle and how they can connect with you to get customized sleep ahead of school starting.
Yes. So my Instagram is Little Ones Sleep Society. And then from there, I have a direct link to schedule on iHelpMoms. You can get a 30-minute session, a 60-minute session that comes with all the stuff that you're going to need. We'll be in constant communication. And that's the easiest way. You're going to find a lot of iHelpMoms information on there as well. And I just love when parents are like, I heard about you from so and so, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited. Let's go and I help moms. Let's not waste any time, because by the time, like I said, parents reach us, they're done and they're tired and they want to get the ball rolling.
That's amazing. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. And we are ready for a great back to school. Thanks to you,
Girl,
Jamie.
thank you.
See you
Bye.
later.
Yes,
Ciao.
ma'am. Bye.